Israel-Hamas, has Yemen declared war on Israel and who are the Houthis? We're sorry, this feature is currently unavailable. We're working to restore it. Please try again later. The Sydney Morning Herald. The Sydney Morning Herald. Sections. Network. Advertisement. World. Middle East. Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Who are the Houthis? Yemen-based militants join the Israel-Hamas conflict. By James Lemon. Save articles for later. Add articles to your saved list and come back to them anytime. Advertisement. The Yemen-based Houthi movement has joined the Israel-Hamas war, extending the conflict to the far side of the Middle East. In firing missiles on Israel, it has joined other Iran-backed militant groups including Hezbollah, which has been exchanging fire with Israeli forces across the Lebanon border. While not the officially recognized government of Yemen, the Houthi movement controls a significant portion of the country and its involvement goes against the West's efforts to prevent the fighting from spreading. Where is Yemen? The Middle East nation lies at the southernmost point of the Arabian Peninsula and shares a border with Saudi Arabia to its north and Oman to its east. Its coastline is on the southern end of the Red Sea, the Suez Canal is at the northern end, and represents a strategic choke point for world shipping and, crucially, Saudi oil. Has Yemen declared war on Israel? The Houthi movement, which controls Yemen's west, says it launched ballistic and cruise missiles on southern Israel on Wednesday, AEDT. The Israel Defense Forces said it intercepted at least one missile originating from near the Red Sea, along with other, aerial threats. Houthi military spokesperson Yahya Sari said it was behind two earlier incidents, a drone attack on October 18 and three cruise missiles intercepted by the US Navy on October 19. Yemen's Houthi movement, not Yemen itself, has effectively declared war against Israel. Yemen's internationally recognized government, which is backed by the Saudi and US governments, has been in a civil war with the Houthis since 2014, though much of the violence has settled during the past year amid back-channel peace talks between the Houthis and the Saudis. Why is Yemen involved in the conflict? Like other militant groups getting involved in the Israel-Hamas conflict, the Houthis are backed by Iran and are part of its axis of resistance. Sari said Israel was to blame for the region's conflict and that the Houthis would continue their involvement until the Israeli aggression stops. Advertisement. Mohanad Haig Ali of the Carnegie Middle East Center said the few Houthi attacks were, for now, more about messaging than a real military threat. Saudi Defense Minister Prince Khalid bin Salman, right, meets a delegation from the Houthi movement in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, in September this year. Credit, app. The risk to Israel would be if there is an all-out engagement, with multiple rocket launches from all directions which could overwhelm the air defenses, he said. Who are the Houthis? The Houthi movement, also known as Ansar Allah, supporters of God, developed in the 1990s out of dissatisfaction with Yemeni government alignment with Saudi Arabia and the US. It has positioned itself as an anti-imperialist group against foreign intervention and as a force for economic development for Yemeni people. The group's slogan reads, God is great, death to America, death to Israel, curse on the Jews, victory to Islam, something it has claimed is not literal but symbolizes its opposition to interference by those countries. It was subject to arrest in the early 2000s amid concerns over its growing influence and responded with insurgencies that embarrassed the Yemeni and Saudi militaries. The group is rooted in Zaydism, a sect of Shiite Islam that accounts for about 25% of Yemen's population. The rest of the country is predominantly Sunni. Houthi supporters in Yemen's capital, Sana'a, burned an American flag in September 2021 during a rally to mark the 7th anniversary of the Houthis' takeover of the capital. Credit, app. Are Houthis aligned with Hamas? The group is aligned with Iran's axis of resistance, an informal military coalition centered on anti-Western and anti-Israel intent. Other participants include Lebanon-based militant group Hezbollah, Hamas and other Palestinian militant groups, the Syrian government, and militant groups in Iraq. The Houthis first indicated a link with Hamas in 2021 when they suggested swapping Saudi prisoners they held for the release of Palestinians. Hamas later presented the Houthi leadership with a «shield of honor» in recognition of support for the Palestinians. With Reuters, more coverage of the Hamas-Israel conflict. Cascading violence, tremors from the Hamas attacks and Israel's response have reached far beyond the border. But what would all-out war in the Middle East look like? The human cost, Hamas massacre in Israel has traumatized and hardened survivors. And in Gaza, neighborhoods have become ghost cities. Hamas Metro, inside the labyrinthine network of underground tunnels, which the Palestinian militant group has commanded beneath war-ravaged Gaza for 16 years. The covered corridors have long provided essential channels for the movement of weapons and armed combatants. What is Hezbollah? As fears of the conflict expanding beyond Israel and Hamas steadily rise, all eyes are on the militant group and political party that controls southern Lebanon and has been designated internationally as a terrorist group. How did it form and what does Iran have to do with it? Get a note directly from our foreign correspondents on what's making headlines around the world. Sign up for our weekly What in the World newsletter. Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Yemen. Israel. Hamas. Gaza Strip. Most viewed in world. From our partners. Advertisement. The Sydney Morning Herald. Twitter. Facebook. Instagram. RSS. Copyright 2023.